And we are now live. It's about 2 minutes delayed, or a minute delayed.
Okay.
Hello, everyone. Jess Claire here. I've come to you with this awesome human, Melissa Meagher. Is it Meagher?
Ma, you're
Melissa
very close.
Ma. I was very close. I just made that up. And I'm going to get Melissa to introduce herself. If you're jumping on, please do engage in this conversation. This is an awesome conversation. Like I said, my new favorite human. She's going to, the intention tonight is we leave you with a sense of freedom, that it's okay to be shit with your money, because it turns out that it doesn't matter if you have $10 or 10 million, that a lot of people are really shit with their money, and it's all a bit of a pretense. So, I want to talk to this expert, and she's going to introduce herself. Please do leave us a message if you are jumping on. Hey, Jennifer. This is being streamed across, as per usual, all my channels, Jess Claire, The Real Raw Explore, and my own. But whilst I'm doing my thing and just checking who's coming on, Melissa, why don't you introduce yourself?
Okay,
and
cool.
I want to call you a money coach and a money expert, but that may not be doing you justice. So why don't you introduce yourself and tell everyone how you ended up on this show with me?
Okay, all right. So, well, how long have you got? Where do I start?
I know. Okay, as long as you want.
Yeah, no. Thanks, Jess. Thanks for having me. Really looking forward to having this conversation, having this chat tonight. And as you said, it's about making. My intention tonight is it's okay to not be okay with your money. And there's also, it's very freeing to actually have that, that self-awareness and that realization, and that's what you do from there. So, whatever has happened in the past up until now, it doesn't matter. So it's not about hauling yourself over the coals and what you should have, could have, would have done. It's about, line the sand here tonight and moving forward if things aren't exactly how you want them to be. So a bit about me. I've been involved in the financial services industry for about 25 years. I think it's been longer than that, but I stopped. I've left it at 25 years now. I was predominantly a financial planner. So my main profession was a financial planner. I was a stockbroker for 4 years. So I was a stockbroker in the tech boom, which was it was a very fun and cool time to be a stockbroker. Pretty crazy existence. And I also worked for a superannuation fund as a seminar delivery specialist for 7 years. So I've had a really broad exposure to all things finance. So the big corporates, the smaller boutique financial planning firms. And what led me to deciding to leave, being employed, as you and I have discussed before, apart from the realisation that I probably have been unemployable all my life, is that it didn't matter where I worked or what I was doing or what role I was doing. I always had these conversations with people that were really good at what they did, whether they could have been self-employed or employed, it didn't matter. But they're really, really good at what they did. And because they're good at what they did, there's this expectation in society that you're automatically good with your money. And I can tell you unequivocally right now, there is no correlation whatsoever to being good at what you're doing, good at what you do, and also being good with money. There is no, I know a lot of people in finance that it's, that's even the case as well. So, but because there was this expectation that they should be good with their money, and a lot of times they weren't, there was a lot of embarrassment and shame around that, which then led them, to keep it all bright and shiny on the outside. It led them to sort of making decisions that weren't necessarily serving them, putting them under more financial pressure, more stress, and sort of, going down the rabbit hole, spiraling a bit. And so I kept seeing this, and these people didn't necessarily need financial advice or anything like that. They just need someone to sit down with them and really have a chat about what's going on. So I decided to start. I had a bit of a look around. I couldn't find anything that was, that was like that in the marketplace. So I decided to start my own business. And my whole ethos of starting my business was to create a safe space to have a real conversation around money, not what it's meant to look like, not what everyone else thinks it should look like, or what being raised to think it should look like, actually what's going on. And if it's not how you want it to be, then let's do something about it.
No, so that's great.
Yes, and that was about 5 years ago. So I've been doing my business for 5 years and absolutely love it. Love it.
I love it. I love the safe space around money. It's really interesting, right? I've never done a conversation about money, but I'm noticing that there's hardly any engagement on this live, right?
Yeah.
So that's okay. That tells me this is not a safe. It's like, I'm just like, I do have this thing where I'm like, people hide, people pretend. So watch this. We're going to change the language around what we're talking about, and we'll get a different audience just on the same topic. I thought, how will we talk about this? You know, I usually on average have about 20 people, and I've got like 2. So that tells me that we're onto something here, that
Yes.
this conversation is like, I don't want to talk about it.
No, and it'll be triggering a lot of people that they don't want to. They're still hiding. They're hiding out.
Well, I think what we talked about was really that even the most successful people that have a lot of money, and this is what I've discovered, right, in my own experience now in business, is as I started to make a lot of money, what I noticed is then I had to like keep it going. Like I had to go keep this face. Oh fuck, I've made a lot of money. I can't make anyone know that I lose any. And then I had this bad month.
Yeah.
And I lost like I'm here just I had this bad month, and then I lost 15 grand. And then I was like, oh my God, and I've spent all that money. And then that consequently had this sort of chain reaction. And I noticed that what I wanted to do was to save face, not tell anyone, work harder so no one knew that it was going on.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, how much is this happening? And then that's when I met you.
Yeah.
You know, and I went, Melissa, I was like not wanting to tell people. So I'm going to just demonstrate, whoever's watching, I'm going to demonstrate what happens when you change like I've obviously said something that's a little bit triggering. I love this conversation. So thank you. I'm going to change.
We've got someone listening to us.
We do, but it's interesting. It's just like, what could I change it to that would actually be a reality of conversation? Is everyone shit with money, even the millionaires? Should we put that?
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't want to trigger you.
No, I'm okay. It's just talking all things money. You know what I mean? Just like leave it, make it like an open. You know, do you know what I mean?
That won't bring anyone in. Even the successful people. Let's see. Watch this. Is everyone shit with money? Even the successful people. Okay. Let's see. This is marketing, right? I'm like, you could just tell. Everyone that's watching will be able to see how I do this, because it's like messaging is so important.
Yeah. Yeah.
There you go. I've just updated it. We'll see. Maybe it won't. But why don't we start with oh, do you all need validation? I'm here. No, it's not that. It's not about validation. It's about engagement. It's like what's going to have people in the conversation. This conversation with Melissa is epic, because she had me get on her call with Melissa. She was like, it's not just people that you think don't have money. It's even people that appear to have lots of money are not dealing with their finances.
Yeah.
And they're holding together this massive problem called, how do I pay for if it's not a house, it's a block of buildings that I'm in $1 million worth of debt for, right?
Mm. Yeah.
So why don't you give me, why don't you give me an example, Melissa? Like, and you said your own journey.
Okay, so I can talk to I've talked to your audience from 2 perspectives here. From my own experiences. Firstly was my personal realization that I've had a really unhealthy relationship with money over my lifetime. I don't need to go into details of where that's happened, where it's come from, but where it's showing up in my adult life, that I was completely giving away my power in my relationships, my personal relationships, and it was all very, very connected and related to money. So that's, that was a big realization for me a couple of years ago, that really so our relationship with money, our money stories and our money beliefs. So how we were, how money was spoken about when we were growing up, which forms our beliefs, that it's sort of what's driving the show. If that's, and I'll always challenge people that how money was spoken about when they're growing up is not presented. It will be presenting it'll be showing up and presenting itself somewhere in their adult life. Now that will be either directly related to the relationship with money, or it can be showing up in other areas. So for me, it was showing up in, giving away my power in relationships because I wanted that, I needed that validation. It was, a lot of it was tied up around money and that sort of thing. So from a personal perspective, that was a big thing. And, it was one of the things that ended my marriage 8 years ago. So that was, so it was a big thing.
You were hiding stuff with money? Is that what it was?
No. I was accepting situations that I shouldn't have been accepting when it came to money. Being honest with me, no, I wasn't hiding out. It's other people, but just giving away my power in relationships. But it wasn't just that relationship. It was lots of, when I went back and started looking at it, it had been a very common theme through my life in my relationships. So that was on a personal side of things. On a professional perspective, for me, when I actually started my business, obviously I moved from, when we leave employment, you have the security of an income, a salary and a title and stuff like that. And so when I went and started my own coaching business up, and I guess I wasn't selling widgets, I was selling myself, my coaching. So, my business was all set up. It was all bright and shiny on the outside and looked great, but no one was turning up. And once again, it was around my, how I value myself and my self-worth. And if I wasn't valuing myself, obviously no one else was going to value my services and stuff. So it showed up again there in a different perspective. But I really believe it all comes back to our self-worth, our self-value, and, fundamentally our self-love. And so that's because such a big part of our core identity is actually tied up in our relationship with money because of our conditioning, growing up in our money stories, our conditioning from society, all those sorts of things come together that we think, that money is a really, really big part of that. And a lot of times, we're made to think it's really, really important, but it might not necessarily be important to us, or, it might mean different things. So, I always ask people, what does wealth mean to you? Because, wealth is a really interesting word to think, and I always ask I ask people, what does wealth mean to you? And there's, lots of different answers come through, and a lot of it's not to do with money.
Yeah. And anyone who is on this live, please do ask any questions. Melissa is a money expert, has been in financial planning, has she's a money coach, and has a whole lot of experience with money as well, where she has lost and understands the actual implications of the money story, as we talk about the money story. Yeah. So please, if you do have any comments, anything, I think what I might do is share what I went through.
Yeah, great.
I shared this with you, right?
Yeah.
I was 2-3 years ago, I was in a relationship. I just built my dream home, and that was like an $800,000 property. It was massive. Yeah. I was in what I called this really great job. I was living life and everything was great. I was at the top of my game, but I was struggling financially. I just didn't tell anyone about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I was saying to my partner at the time, I really need some help. But I didn't know how to communicate it. I just felt this pressure of like, oh my God, I don't want to fail, like this failure experience. But I didn't actually know how to communicate it.
So did you know what you wanted to, the questions that you wanted to ask and stuff like that, or you didn't really even know what you wanted? You didn't know what you wanted really?
I didn't. I mean, my partner and I were fighting a lot, and she was very, we'd been together 13 years. She was very hands-off financially. Like, she was like, you do it, you're really good at it, right? And I was really good at it to an extent. I work out how to, we had our dream home, we had our wedding. Like, I was really good with money, but I kind of got to this point where I was feeling a lot of pressure.
Well, it's a big responsibility to actually have to shoulder the thing all yourself, because if something goes wrong, then that's on you then. Well, you think it is, I mean, you're taking this whole big, responsibility and load, and that's, I mean, in relationships, when I work with couples, there is usually an imbalance in a relationship round. So it's about bringing them into balance, bringing one down and bringing the other one up, whichever ones that might be. And I find a lot of them are running on train tracks, heading in different train tracks, heading in different directions. So it's about bringing them. It's not, you don't necessarily have to smash everything together. There's not a one size fits all here, but like at least be on the same train tracks, heading in the same direction together, and doing it together. And it's not not saying you don't have to look after the things yourself, but just that it's a joint effort, and you're communicating and talking about it. At least that's what I do a lot of that stuff with couples.
Yeah, okay, that's good, because I didn't really have that. Yeah. I was like, oh, you're really good with money, and I did our holiday, our dream home. We had IVF, so we had 2 kids, and that's quite expensive. Yeah. I built I had our wedding all in 1 year.
Wow. Yeah, that's
I was really good. I thought I was really good with money, but I made a few errors and got myself stuck in debt. So there was about, it wasn't that much debt. It was about 40 grand's worth of debt, which was way too much for me at the time. I didn't like to have any more than about 5 or 10. And it blew out to 40 grand. And I remember saying to my partner, I'm really scared, but I didn't know how to communicate it because there was so much shame, Melissa.
Yeah, and that's
it was like, you fucked up. Oh, sorry, but it was like you screwed up. I've said this to myself. I've screwed up. I kind of want to hide it. I don't know how to say it, but I've made some mistakes, and now we're in 40 grand's worth of debt on top of everything else. I don't know what to do except say, I need to show you what we need to do. It was like, I really need to share this with you.
Yeah.
And she was like, you do it. And so I kept wearing the burden.
Yeah. And it's that really that, like, it's like saving face, and that, feeling embarrassed and shame, around, and that's, a big reason why I've only started sharing my money story recently, because, I was told, you fake it until you wake it, and don't tell anyone about your own personal circumstances, because, who would want you to, this was what I got told, that I was, so I was suffering serious self-sabotage, imposter syndrome, and being fueled by comments from people of, don't tell anyone about your own circumstances, because, and all that sort of stuff. And now I know now that what makes me a bloody good coach, because I've actually lived and breathed everything that my clients have been through. I get it. I've done the personal growth. I've gone and done the, what I've needed to do. And it's, it's always a work in progress, but it's nothing, there's nothing to be ashamed of. And it's, it's this fear of what people are going to think that's keeping us really closed and contained, and that's the fear that's keeping it like that. And if you bring it out and actually talk about it and shine the light, it's not there anymore. Fear can't operate in the light. So it's about
It was funny, because I don't know that, for those of you jumping on, hello Lorna, I haven't said hello to everyone that's on here, but I'd love your comments on this. I mean, money is so important right now. And I really do want to have an open discussion about it. And I don't really know how to either. So I do get that this has probably got lower engagement than I've ever had. So I'm like, what's happening? What have I done? And I don't know how to broach this topic, but when I was talking to Melissa about this, I was like, wow, this is so, this is so important to get this out there. Are you a Cancer?
No, I'm a Virgo, actually.
Very important to Jennifer. Know your stuff.
I just saw her out. Yeah, sorry. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing that I'm not.
I know, right? I know, it's funny. Hello, if I can't see you. So It's interesting that you say that, because if I look back at that time, there was so much pressure on me at the time. I was the provider, you could say.
Yeah.
And I was also like, I was the smart strategy one. I felt like I was keeping everything together. Like, in terms of success, I was the pinnacle. We were the pinnacle of success. Yeah, we had our dream home.
Yep. So you, on the outside, you looked like the perfect couple. You had the perfect life.
Oh, so much.
Which is pressure, which is, that's huge pressure to keep that going, keep that momentum going, particularly when you know that what's going on in the background.
Oh, it was, and this is what I kind of want to expose, is that I had a lot of money. I had a dream home. My dream home, we'd had our dream holiday. On Facebook, we looked amazing. But our relationship was shit and suffering. And like, I was feeling like I was holding this together, and I was like about to explode, and I didn't even know how to articulate it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was like, oh, we just need to talk about finances. And she was like, you do it. It's fine.
And so that comes back to very much, this, where we're talking about that. One of the things we were talking about the other day was our, people's definition of success. Like, you got everything that you thought was success. Do you know what I mean? Like, and I come across this a lot. It's people's perception, or what they've been told is success. And so they strive and spend all their time getting, attaining that success. And when they get there, they go, this ain't really floating my boat. Like, this is it's actually not fulfilling me. It's not filling me, filling up my cup. It's not what it's empty. I'm feeling empty. It's not exactly it. And it's only then that people have this realization of what actually success might mean a completely different thing to them. But because we've grown up with the money, our money stories and our money beliefs and all that sort of stuff, it's sometimes it's only when you get there that you can actually realize it's not what you want. Getting what you think you want and getting it, and realizing it's actually not what you want. And I think there's a lot of stuff underlying, our money stories and our money beliefs. And I always say I come in on the money, it's never about the money. What's going on with money is always the effect of something else that's going on. It's not the cause. So it's about, clearing that space to then go and have a look at what's going on, with our stories and our beliefs.
Yeah. Well, just this one as well. Society shames you for renting.
Yeah.
I was like, do they? I don't feel I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
She has to buy something unless it suits everything I need. A dual income would be handy, but it's not going to happen, right? Yeah. Like, if you don't have a dual income, it is hard to buy a house. Yeah,
and and that's, the big Aussie dream is, the big thing is that you got to buy your own home, which is, Lorna, absolutely, completely agree with you there. That's not, that's seen as a success, but there's lots of, there's pros and cons of owning your own home, and there's pros and cons of renting, and it's whatever suits you and suits your circumstances and your life and your lifestyle. That's what's important. It's not feeling under the pressure, obligation to actually buy a house. And take on a big debt if that's not what you want. It's once again, it's not. It's up to you, and you should be living your version of success, of what that means to you. Your version of success, not what everyone else's version of success means.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I'd love you to share the story, like, of the most apparently successful person. I just shared mine, right? And I then, my partner then left.
Yeah.
We were having we had kids, then we had financial concerns, then we had obviously unresolved things in our relationship. It ended.
Yeah.
Then I was left with $80,000 worth of debt. And so then I was like, oh my God, now we've got one income. Yeah. She's gone. She's like, well, you're the breadwinner, so you kind of have to deal with it. And I was like, I remember thinking, wow, this is really challenging. Yeah. What am I going to do? But I was so stuck in a corner that all I did was I rang my mortgagee, I rang them and just said, this is what's happened. And I don't know how to get out of this, but I'm not going to be paying you for a long time. And they were great.
Yeah. So you showed up, and like, you show up, people can help you. And particularly now, more so than ever, they are, with everything that's been going on and different people's circumstances have changed, and your income might have reduced or something, or whatever's happened in your own circumstances. But that's what I've been, when I've been presenting a lot about this is, as much as we want to throw the doona over our head and hide out, that ain't going to help us anyway. And so it's about showing up and being proactive, talking to your providers, because then they have the opportunity to actually help you. Exactly what happened to you, Jess. So that they have if you are talking to them and being proactive, they can actually help you. Whereas if if it's just radio silence, they don't know what's going on and they won't be able to help you, and things will just keep spiraling. And things can get, things would go pretty pear-shaped. So I think it's, that's something it's really a powerful thing to show up and have these discussions with people. I had to do it. I went through this all myself. I was fearful they might ask me what I do, and I'd say I'm a financial coach, and I'd go, what? You've got all these, these financial issues, and you're a money coach. But, there was never any, they're just great, but you have to show up. And so, and then you can, so you've got that, you have that self-awareness, but obviously that's only the first step of any transformation. It's great, but it's not enough. And it's the action that you take after that. So, being proactive, contacting your providers, putting in place a plan of attack, because that's what you're saying to me. You put in place with a mate of yours a strategy to actually take action. And there is nothing more liberating and powerful than actually taking some inspired action to do something different. It's moving from that probability vector. So, if you keep doing the same thing, you're probably going to get the same result. So moving from that probability vector into actually the possibility vector. So what is actually possible in my life? What do I actually want? What are my visions? What are my aspirations? What do I actually want? To something to work towards, because so many people spend so much of their life thinking about what they don't have, what they're missing out on, what they want more of, all that sort of stuff. And guess what's showing up in their life? Exactly that. So it's really, it's changing, it's reframing actually how we think about things as well.
Yeah, well, when I think about what happened when I called the financier, my mortgager, the credit card companies, all of this stuff, it was so embarrassing.
Yeah.
Because here I was as a successful woman. I'm working for a financial services company.
Yeah.
I even went to my boss at the time and I told them about it, and they were like, "Oh, don't tell anyone." It was very much like, "Oh, but I work for financial services. This can be bad."
Yeah.
But I went to the financiers, had conversations with them. I didn't have to pay anything for 2 years, but I had to keep in contact with them, and we just have these continuous agreements. And then at the end, when I finally got all of it resolved and I made my money, keeping that in contact actually allowed me to have money come back.
Yes.
I had money came in again. And then once I got money, I called the financiers and I said, I want to pay you. And then I had an agreement. I was like, I didn't want to pay them the whole lot.
No.
I was like, can we have an agreement? I'll give you a lump sum for 50%. And they were like, okay.
Yeah.
And then I didn't have to pay the whole lot anyway.
No. And I've been working with a client now that was negotiating with their debtors and stuff like that. And it's, because most times they want to get the debt cleared and off their books. So they'll accept less than than $1, 100%.
They do. Yeah.
Yeah. So you can negotiate. That as well.
Yeah.
So absolutely. But once again, you got to be showing up and having those conversations.
You got to be honest. You got to be honest about the circumstances. Yeah. And that's what I want to talk. So I was like, when I spoke to Melissa first, I was like, it's not just people that are like, oh my God, I have no money. They might be unemployed. They might be on week-to-week Centrelink payments. I was on a very, very high wage and I was struggling. And I think Lorna said that the vulnerable customer regulations, they were what saved me from that. And I was able to maintain my life on the vulnerable customer. So that's me, very high wage. I'm getting a lot of money. But I was struggling And and then I talked to people who I noticed all these people around me who were successful had partners who had accidentally spent too much gambling or made some bad choices. Like, if you can give me an example, just for everyone to really get, what's the most successful person who has still sometimes struggles with money? What's sort of an example of that?
Yeah, I had a client in Sydney that I worked with. Her and her husband were both, professionals on very, very big incomes. Had, everything was pretty amazing and like really, really high incomes and stuff like that. But she came to me because there was that imbalance in their relationship, and so she was wanting to really, she was really type A, like really high level. She sent me a lot of spreadsheets with a lot of stuff in it. But it was she wanted to empower and educate herself so she could then, have conversations with her partner, her husband, their accountant, financial planner, all that sort of stuff. So it was very much the education side for her, because she was an absolute superstar at what she did, and and super switched on, super intelligent. But she didn't, and there was embarrassment and shame around not knowing all this stuff about money. But then we went back and looked at her money story, and what a parent's relationship with money is and stuff like that. It all really, really quickly dropped into place for her around where all this behaviour, and because she, and when we got to know each other a bit, we worked with each other for a while, she was sort of saying, that her husband sort of controls everything, and he runs the show around their money and their finances. And I said, well, he's had to, hasn't he? Because you've negated any responsibility whatsoever around money. And she sort of paused and she said, you're actually right. So it was really, it was about, I got them to, go and do a financial plan with a financial planner. Then she'd ring me and went through, what do I need to talk, what do I need to, would always check with me about what she wanted to talk with the planner. Then when she got the plan done, we went, she rang me and we went through the whole plan and the things that she didn't understand. We talked through them and stuff like that. So it was, for all intents and purposes, that they would, that they would look like a very, very, very successful switched on couple, which they were. But the things, their money, their financial situation wasn't, it just wasn't, nothing was happening because nothing was really being done.
Yeah, wow.
So that was a really fantastic, very rewarding one to do. I do also I've worked with quite a lot of women that have actually separated. So they've been in a relationship, for all reasons that they've given away a lot of their power around money and for their finances, or just didn't know what was going on. So it's really about empowering them with knowledge and education, and just really giving them that support and that boost, and understanding stuff. So and because obviously there's always patterns that are showing up in our relationships and stuff like that. So there's and a lot of that can be, as I said before, and was for me, was around money as well. So it's really, I find that really, really rewarding that they're we just sort of, they don't need to reinvent themselves because there was nothing wrong with them in the first place, but they need to find themselves, I guess, and just really step into their power. So I find that working with women that are not in a great space, and then being able to actually, see them flourish and for them to really go through a transformation that's what really floats my boat. That's what I really, really love.
Yeah. And what do you reckon it is? Like, why do you think people do this thing with money? Why is there shame and guilt and hiding, and what is that? Like, why?
I think because of our upbringing, our core identity, so much of that is tied up in our, relationship with money, our identity. So we have to make sure it looks all bright and shiny on, it has to, because that's what we've been conditioned, that it's important to, condition on two things, that, what the definition, what is the definition of success and stuff like that. And then, the fact that money is, a lot of us have grown up with money being a taboo subject. You don't talk about money. It's not polite to talk about money, or, that I remember my parents used to talk in very hushed tones, sort of, in the back room when they were discussing money. So and I think you should never underestimate the impact that has on us, of that, is it like money is, talking about money is like a dirty thing you shouldn't do. You know what I mean? Like, it's, so if you're growing up with those beliefs and those stories, exactly what you were saying before, Jess, you don't know how to have those conversations. You didn't know how to put your hand up for help because you've been probably told all your life that you just got to, or you don't talk about it.
Yeah, I'm like, I didn't even know how to.
Yeah, and we're not equipped with these tools to actually know how to do it. That's the thing.
I had no idea.
No one's ever taught us this stuff.
No, I had this. So I was at work. I was emotional because I'd broken up with my partner. I don't know. I was buying stuff that I couldn't afford. I even moved into an apartment that I really couldn't afford based on my income currently.
Yeah.
I was sort of digging my head into the sand. And I had a really good friend at work. He's like, you can't concentrate. So I noticed, because I was so distracted and I couldn't keep. So it didn't show up in my income per se. It showed up in how much I couldn't concentrate.
Yeah, so which would have been impacting on your productivity. I know I've got some stats. I can't.
Totally.
Of the, the impact financial stress has on productivity at work, or, and how many hours a week that they think about, their finances and stuff like that. If they're feeling, if they're under pressure, feeling stressed, and obviously that all has a huge impact on being able to show up, being the best version of yourself, and and being present and being productive at work, or whatever for whatever you're doing.
So much so. I even had my boss put me on a performance review.
Yeah.
So I had a breakup. I had to deal with that and my kids and everything.
Yeah.
Then I had the financial stuff, and then I get put on a performance review. I was like, oh my God, I can't deal, right?
Yeah.
And I had this amazing friend who could see right through it.
Yeah.
I'm so glad not everyone has this friend. But he was like, what is going on with you?
Yeah. What's going exactly. What's going on?
Like, what is going on with you? And he took me into this room, and he knew, like you do, that financial, like you could say, financial integrity mattered so much. And he knew I'd gone through a breakup, and he knew that I'd had a lot of changes. So he's like, okay, tell me, who do you owe money to? How much? And he went down list by list by list, and he came up with 10 people. I'm like, I owe that, I owe that, I owe that, I owe that. And he's like, great, all right, action. You need to call them and do that. You need to do this and do that and do this. And it came up with these simple 10 actions. And I made those 10 actions, and for the first time, I actually felt like I was living again.
Good. You felt like you could breathe, because that's what I was going to ask you. How did you feel when you actually took that action and stuff like that?
When I took the actions, I was like, oh, I have a pathway to the end of this now.
You can see that there's a way out, and there was
a way out, and I just needed to keep acting, right? But before I saw that, it was like all that people were like, oh, she's just fucked up because she's had a breakup.
Yeah.
No one could actually see that it was, no, I'm in financial trouble. I've had a breakup, and I'm dealing with all of that as well.
Yeah.
And
so isn't that interesting? I mean, people are open to talk, and you probably talked about your financial, about your breakup and stuff like that. But then when it came to actually talking about your financial troubles, that was you didn't talk about it because you just didn't know what to.
I couldn't even see the correlation, Melissa.
Yeah.
Like, I was like, it wasn't even correlating to me that this was happening. It was only this friend of mine who was obviously savvy enough to get it. He was just like, he was so like, wake up, you're burying your head in the sand.
Yeah, absolutely. And it just, and it's that thing about, if you're doing that, it's just feeding your fear. It's actually feeding it,
totally.
and sending you to more into more overwhelm and more overwhelm and more fear and, fear and overwhelm and stuff like that, because it's keeping it, bearing it really in the dark recesses of, wherever it is and stuff like that. And it's just, and that's what keeps us small and keeps us from not being able to grow and stuff like that. So that to be able to, not do that and actually sort of show up. And that's, very much how I support people to really, put in place we go through a very set strategy or action plan of, really getting that clarity and awareness and efficiency around their finances and stuff like that. And that might not necessarily be, your debts, paying off debts. That might be some of it. There might be a lot of other stuff. But it's just, one of my favourite sayings is understanding where your money goes gives you freedom and choice about where you want it to go. So that's, but you need to understand it. You need to know your numbers and understand what makes up your money pot first to be able to do that. And if you want to go and do some other stuff like, like reduce debt, like for you, or build wealth, or have emergency, have some cash reserves or whatever, you have to understand what your money pot looks like first, because something's got to change in that to be able to go and do something else. So, you had to put it all out there, list it all out. And so it's no use going, paying off all these debts and stuff like that and then not having enough money to live on. Do you know what I mean? So you need to be really clear of, what your financial commitments are, your fixed costs, what you want to have for lifestyle spending, and then what you've got available to do, to reduce debt. So, for example, in your, which is a lot of, that's a lot of goal for people, is to, reduce their personal debt.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a plan.
Exactly.
I just needed a plan, and I couldn't have done it without him. So I think the thing that I also want to sort of express on this is that I didn't even know people like you existed. See, when I think of financial planning, and when I think of accountant, and I think of what's out there, all I think is people that are going to take my money and kind of try and reinvest it. So I have to have it.
Yeah.
I don't think there's people out there that are going to take my situation and give me clarity to get out of the hole I'm in.
Yeah. And that's exactly what I do. That's, so get that, clarity and awareness and efficiency around your sort of external tangible world. And then I sort of clear the space. So, get that all, as efficient as it can, and understanding where everything's going and, what's what. And then for me, that's clearing the space then to go and actually look at look at your money stories and look at your money beliefs, because that's, it's your relationship with money that's driving your motivations and behaviours around money. So it's no use just doing that external stuff, because, a lot of people I work with, they say, there's two things that they say a lot. They say, I know I've got this really unhealthy relationship with money, but I can't quite put my finger on it. I don't know what it is. That's related to our money stories and our money beliefs and our money mindset. Or they say that I feel like, I'm in this loop or this pattern or cycle with money, and it doesn't matter what I do, I can't stop it. And that's that's about it's your money mindset and stuff like that. So you really need to go and have a look at what's driving our behavior, from our money beliefs and stuff like that, what's driving our behavior, because if we don't, whatever we've set up on the outside won't be sustainable, because it's this stuff that's driving it. So that's the stuff, and that's when I say I come in on the money, but it's never just about the money either. There is other stuff at play. And a lot of that can be tied up in our relationship with money.
Yeah, totally. Oh, that's awesome. Yeah. So if you were to say there were three sort of hacks, giveaways that you could give to people, what would they be? Who might be feeling pressure of money, feeling like they're kind of spiraling, it's not working.
Yeah, I think, it's to do, first of all, to do like a personal financial audit. Actually just like do a snapshot bird's eye view of where you are at right now. So that's, what you've got coming in, like understanding what income you're coming from, all different sources, how much you've got coming in, where it's coming from, the different areas, what you've got going out. So get a really good handle on your fixed costs and your lifestyle spending. So, because then there's lots of things you can do there. What you own, write out what you own and what you owe. So, and, make sure that, so that's, the overall, to do a personal, look at a personal financial audit, which just is a snapshot of where you are right now, because, the best map in the world's no good if you don't know where you are. So that's, you really need to to be able to take that inspired action, you really need to know where you are. Like there has to be sort of a line in the sand benchmark. This is where I am right now. I think you need to get a lot of, it's really important to understand the flow of your funds and, whether your current structure is helping you or hindering you to manage your money. So I look at people's, the flow of money into their bank accounts, around their bank accounts, out of their bank accounts. So I look at a lot of, at that stuff. So it's looking at, is it streamlined and seamless and automated, or is it, lots of human interaction, which often makes it very clunky and not and it doesn't necessarily happen. So, it's not a one size fits all, but it's just looking it's best for your current circumstances. And then really have a look at your, so important is look at your money story. So there's
what is a money story?
Yeah, so there's a number. So when I do the money story, I've got a document I go through and people complete. But in a nutshell, it's there's about 5 questions. So how do you feel when you think about money? How would you describe your current relationship with money? How was money spoken about when you're growing up? Which is obviously touched on that a fair bit. What was your mother's relationship with money? What was your father's relationship with money? And even what was your grandparents' relationship with money? Because these stories and these beliefs are passed down through generations of our family of origin. I hear my dad saying the same stuff to my kids now that he said to me when I was growing up. I don't necessarily agree on it, but anyway, it's it's his story.
Still there.
Yeah, and I always say to people, it's not about going, if things aren't exactly how you want them to be, it's not about going and blaming your parents for not telling them all this, because they were doing the best they could with what they were given, their point of reference around money, because it would have been handed down to them. So it's about, it's breaking the cycle, or, so it's just understanding, recognizing where that might be showing up in your adult life, and if there's parts of that are not serving you. So they've been my three top tips. Yeah. And that's
awesome.
That's, and those sort of areas I break down and do lots of different things in those areas with people.
Yeah. And as Sky's just said, and aunties and uncles too, if they're around a lot.
Yeah. And if you don't know, some people say, I don't know. And I said, well, go back and talk to your family about it, because they're usually quite open, they're usually interested and want to talk about this stuff. Or you'll get some indication of their, how they want to talk about it or not talk about it, which will give you a clue. Another exercise I do with groups that is really, really powerful to understand about your beliefs is actually write a letter to money as if you're explaining your relationship to it. So that's I've had women just have massive breakthroughs and aha moments and lots of tears that you just see the penny drop when they've, if you just sort of write about, write a letter to money explaining your relationship, how you, how you feel about your relationship. I'm just going to try and get that. Hang on, I'm just going to make sure I get that completely right to explain to you. I've got it written down here.
It's funny that you say this, because one of my friends has can you pop those tips in a post for us, Jess? I didn't catch it all. Well, I do a financial audit.
Yeah. So
streamline.
Yeah. So financial audit is what you've got coming in, what you've got going out, what you owe and what you own. And the other one I forgot to say that is make friends with your bank accounts if you actually don't go and look at your bank accounts, because I know a lot of people that are fearful of even going and look at their bank accounts because they're scared of what they're going to find. And that's what's keeping them small and keeping them in fear once again. So writing the letter to money, it's, write a letter to money as if you're writing to a person and telling them how you feel about your relationship with them.
What was the other? So the first one was
the money story questions.
No, this is the three things you said. One was a financial audit, one's coming in, one's going out. The other one was streamline something.
Oh, yeah. Does your current structure help you or hinder you to manage your money? So that's the flow of money around, into your accounts, in your, your structure of your bank accounts and your structure of your debts and all that sort of stuff, and then how it flows out. So is it seamless and streamlined and automated, or is it really clunky with lots of human involvement.
Yeah, okay.
So
All
there's
right. And the third one is look at your money story.
Yeah, the money story. So how do you feel when you think about money?
Your money story?
Yeah. How do you feel when you think about money? So she's a good-looking broad, but I sometimes don't treat her with respect. Yeah, nice. How would you describe your current relationship with money? How was money spoken about when you were growing up? And then what was your mother's? Sorry, am I going too fast? Sorry.
Oh, yeah, I'm dyslexic. Yeah, I've got to correct my errors as I do it at the same time. How can you describe your relationship? What was that?
How was money spoken about? How was money spoken about when you're growing up?
Yeah, and then the other one?
And then what was your mother's, father's, and grandparents' relationship with money?
Yes.
Yeah.
And letter to money.
Yeah. And then write a letter to money as if you're writing to a person and tell him how you feel about your relationship with them.
That's great. That's really great. So I've just put that all in there as a little structure for everyone to follow. That's really, really great. And it's funny that you say that. I just said I have a friend that writes letters, or she's written a letter to money. If money reports me to HR, I won't be happy.
Well, hopefully it won't.
Hopefully it won't. And I've always been like, I wonder why she's doing that. It's funny.
Yeah, and
so I might give it a go.
Yeah, and it's really interesting. If you just don't think about it, just start writing and let it flow. What it can do, the benefits it can do is it can highlight key emotional limiting beliefs that we have about money that are really holding us back and stepping into abundance and wealth. So if you just flow and let it write it without getting your head in the way, there will be, and then you go back and read it. There'll be a lot of themes coming up through it, which will be your key emotional limiting beliefs around money. If you if you do it and just flow, just write it. And the thing is, some people go, I feel silly. No one needs to see it. It's only you. No one needs to see it. No one needs to know you're doing it. So,
no.
But
that's right. We like to hide these things.
Of course. You can do it in the privacy. You can do it in the privacy of your own home.
You don't have to post it on Raw, Real, and Amplify.
No, you don't.
No, that's right. No, that's brilliant. And just quickly as well, you've got a retreat coming up.
Yes, very excitingly. Yes, I'm running my first retreat in August on the 10th of August for 3 nights up at the in the beautiful Sunshine Coast hinterland. It's a wealth consciousness retreat for professional women, and it's going to be an absolute cracker. I'm so excited.
I love that you're doing a retreat on this. I said that to you. I was like, there needs to be something far more relaxing and fun about money rather than come here and let's have a look at what's happening,
It's not going to be like that. And I've been very clear in my copy of what it's not going to be like. And there's going to be talking about money is going to be boring. It's, there's a lot of things that won't be happening there. But, so we're going to be having really deep diving into this and creating that space just to, having that container to talk about this stuff. Because I really wish that I had that opportunity, and you're saying exactly the same thing, to have someone to talk to about this stuff. And so that's been my main motivation of doing it. And it's really, and I've got, we've got someone coming along cooking for us. Like we're going to have beautiful food, we're going to have beautiful wine. So it's, it's going to be really, really lovely. Tell you what, Quinn does, it sucks up. Yeah, I know. We'll have to, it'll be the first of many. So I've had a couple of people from interstate and someone from New Zealand said, I wish I could come. And so there will be more when they've got, and you'll be able to come from interstate as well.
You guys need to stop making out and giving each other COVID.
Lots of cheese. Yeah, there'll be definitely cheese. Absolutely. You can't have wine without cheese. There'll be lots of delicious. So it's a full immersion.
Yeah,
we'll be doing lots of money stuff, but it's also an experience too. To go away.
Yeah.
Just take check out, take some time out.
Oh, it sounds amazing. It really does.
Really, really, really looking forward to it actually.
Yeah, great.
If
you could put a link in so people can contact you about that.
How can I put the link in? I don't have it.
I don't know if you can.
No,
I can. Afterwards, if you go into my profile and post it in there.
Yeah, can I go into or can I just? You've got it. You've got?
Oh, did you?
Yeah. Well, you've got the link in that email I sent you. So can you put it in can you post it?
Let me see. I think so.
I don't think I can put it in. I can't. There's nowhere I can put it in the chat box.
Oh, look at that. You do too. So simple. There you go. Done.
Fantastic. So look, if anyone, fantastic. Great. Thank you. But if anyone wants to, just give me a call and have a chat about it. It's a beautiful house with a beautiful outlook, and it's just very, very lovely. I won't give away too much information. Links definitely work on replies. Okay.
There you go.
We're learning stuff.
We are.
Apart from that, if anyone just wants to have a chat, I'm very happy to catch up and have a chat with people.
Absolutely. Sorry, I'm still getting this cough. It's not corona. So if you wanna catch Melissa and have a chat with her, make sure you PM her, slide in her DMs. But if you're interested in that retreat, check it out. But really do follow her, because her work is really about bringing this to the forefront, like as opposed to come to me, I'm going to make you money. It's more like come to me and I'm going to have you get real about money.
Yep.
And then we get to really clear the cobwebs out and make and make a difference to you. So I love that.
And the great thing is, once you clear this, it takes up so much of our mind and our mental chatter and stuff like that. And once you clear that, you've got all this amazing mental real estate available to go and actually look at what you actually, what your visions and aspirations and everything are, which is amazing. So, money, someone's just sharing their money, money doesn't grow on trees. Absolutely. That's always a chestnut. You have to work hard in the sun to make money. I've been told this while I was growing up. Yeah, my favourite was, there has to be lots of blood, sweat and tears to get anywhere in this world. And, it has to be really hard and really tough. And it actually doesn't. It really doesn't.
This Addy is incredible. So he lives in Mumbai in India, and he's like this trailblazer. Everyone in India is working hard, and the culture's really like hardworking. Yeah. And he's like, no, it doesn't have to be hard. We can think, he's like fully empowering everyone. I love Addy.
Wow,
I just wanted to call him out. He's great.
Yeah.
Go, Addy.
Good one. Because it doesn't have to be. It can be whatever we want it to be.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. You get to create your own story. If you don't like the one you've got, make a new one up. Mine is, the more fun I have, the more love and connection that I have, the more money I make.
Yep.
So that's why I do this.
That's why, mine's freedom and choice. I just want freedom and choice in my life to do what I want to do. Live the life I want to have the adventures with my kids, do the stuff for myself. And it's just, it's
awesome.
It's great.
It is. You get to create your own.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, thank you. Coughing.
Yeah, we're going to have a warm drink.
I've got my scotch here. Well, thank you, Melissa. Thank you so much for having this conversation with me. And I was so inspired when I talked to you. And I don't usually have conversations about money, but this was really a real one. you know. So thank you for providing that and providing such little nuggets. And if anyone wants to reach out to Melissa, make sure you do. Otherwise, excuse me. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Thanks, Marilyn, Adam, Addie, Lorna, Sky, anyone else that is still there. I can't see. Sonia, Anastasia. Yeah, thank you guys for tuning in. Any questions, leave comments, and you guys have an awesome night. Thanks for tuning in.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me. See you later, everyone.
See ya.
See ya.
You can.